What is happening, fellow fantasy GMs? I am JJ Wang. He is the bearded one, DJ Dub. With our powers combined, we are the Fantasy Couriers.
Oh, JJ Wang, this is an interesting one for us. I am podcasting live from the upstairs of a Wegmans. From people in that.
One location.
Have you ever been to a Wegmans, by the way?
I've never been to a Wegmans.
Say there's none where we grew up. It's up here. It's a Northern Virginia thing. It's just a grocery store that sells hot. It's too expensive for me usually. It's got an open area with it's like tables behind me, couches and stuff that people can sit at. But so around the country.
You hang out at the grocery store?
Yeah, hang out in grocery store, podcast. I think there's actually two guys out on the deck podcasting too, which I think is kind of funny. Like they have an outside upstairs. I wanted to go be like, hey, can I have you on your show?
Little podcasting unit.
Yeah, so we've had a wonky day. We had to set it up. So one location from Wegmans, DJ Dove. We are the Fantasy Couriers. Welcome. You can hit us up on Facebook, Twitter, any of the social media places you want to get us. Make sure to share our podcast. Send us some questions. Send us some anything you need to know. We're here for you. I actually had someone thank me this week for helping out, which always feels good. There's nothing better than someone just saying thank you for just taking that time to answer ridiculous questions. And then I had to apologize. I told someone to start Jared Goff.
Yeah, that wasn't good.
Luckily, I told somebody else to start Breece Hall. I said, as much as it pains me, start Breece Hall. But I'm sure you're going to get to that soon enough. But
that's the greatest thing about fantasy, man. You just throw so many darts on the up against the wall. I mean, some of them stick, make you look smarter than you might be really are.
And this week, though, I did have one lesson before we get into the day. I learned that you can have too many fantasy football teams.
I think so. Yeah, I'm at that point.
As was noticing by Nick Chubb being on my bench on one of my teams, and I still don't know why he was on the bench on that team. It's still
that was a question.
A question. I was sitting there, I was like, "Oh, cool! Chubb just ran for that touchdown. I am super stoked. Why don't I have any points?" And then I'm texting you like, "How in the world did this happen? What did I do?"
I noticed it before the game started, and I was like, I was like, maybe I was going to message you and be like, "What are you doing with Chubb?" I was like, "Nah, he'll fix it." And
Nope.
I was like, that's cool. Well, I did one where I left Pitts in. I seem to do it a lot these days, man.
Luckily for me, I still got obliterated, so it's not too big. But enough of us chattering. Let's get to what the people want to hear.
Weekend review. What happened? What do we think? What does it mean?
So what you got for us this week, JJ Wang?
All right, so I only got two shout-outs, and then we'll jump into something else. So the first one, of course, going to Brian Robinson for coming back from the gunshot like 5 weeks ago. So shout out to you. I think he got like 9 carries. So I mean,
they were giving him the totes. I mean, is Gibson dead? Do you think is Gibson?
That whole situation is that whole running back situation is some kind of show, but. Yeah, but he first came back 9 carries. I think he led the team in carries. I think so. I mean, positive that. So shout out for you. And then the other one, I'm not going to get into the Buffalo Bills a whole lot. I'm not going to get into that game. But shout out to Gabe Davis for opening up the fantasy day with a 98-yard. I mean, that's a great way to open it up as a 98-yard touchdown. So I was just wondering, is Gabe Davis like a newer model of Tyler Lockett, who also had a big game today?
No. I don't like Tyler Lockett. I love Gabe Davis. And did you see where he was on my team?
Yeah, I've seen that. But so far, his trajectory is pretty much the same as Tyler Lockett. 20 points, 3-3, 30 points, 3-3. And so we'll see how this goes. But yeah, shout out to Gabe Davis for opening up a 98-yard touchdown.
Man, it would break my heart to have to call Gabe Davis Tyler Lockett. And once again, Tyler Lockett kicked my butt this week too. I think I faced him everywhere. Tyler Lockett just kills me. If it's against him, he's going to kill me.
Tyler Lockett did what Tyler Lockett does. He's kind of disappeared all year, then blows up for like a 30-point game. It's great. So next, I'm going to go to like my all mad team here. Just some guys that I'm kind of frustrated with at the moment. We'll go through them quick. I know I don't like to be negative here, but we'll go quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end. My first guy is, of course, is Davis Mills. He hasn't been Texas haven't been playing very well. He hasn't been playing very well. It just doesn't look like a good offense. Damian Pierce is playing good, but yeah, kind of mad at Davis Mills at the moment.
Oh man, was that painful? I got offered Davis Mills in a trade today, and I sort of laughed, and it made me sad to think. Davis Mills, dude.
Yeah,
I mean,
he is
we all
a,
knew, we knew as much as we love Davis Mills, we know there's the shelf life. We know that probably he's being replaced next year,
oh,
barring a magic season.
I would probably, yeah. If they're going to have like the 1 or 2 pick,
Mhm.
it's going to be tough not to. So the next one we'll go running back. He didn't play this week, but it's going to be Jonathan Taylor. Man, he's been like probably the biggest. Like he was the overall like the RB1, the player one, right? If it's not super flex, he's like the guy, and it's just not there. Coming at the RB1 season and just completely disappearing. Mad,
As you
man.
as you can see by my one team, where it was a really, really good team. I gave away the ranch to get Jonathan Taylor. I have no draft picks, and I'm getting my bucket.
Yeah, I traded Jonathan Taylor
Mm.
this week, or yesterday before the game. So I traded Jonathan Taylor and Kyler Murray. I'm sick of both of them. So I got a pretty decent haul back. But I don't, my feelings on Kyler Murray.
You should have got a ton
Um,
back for those guys.
so wide receiver, I hate to say this, but it's got to be CeeDee Lamb. I mean, this guy, I feel like he drops a pass every game that is like in his hands. Like it can't get no easier for him, and it happens every game.
He's the Tiki Barber of receivers. Is that what you're saying?
I mean, maybe, but
That means he'll get it straight. But off the top of my head, what did he end up with yesterday? It wasn't a lot.
I could have been a lot because they only had like 116 passing yards or something crazy. It
Cooper
wasn't.
Rush fell off
Yeah.
a cliff.
Yeah, but they still win. So they're 4-0 with Cooper Rush. That comes back, and they lose that first game. Oh, dude, it's going to be a lot of commotion. So, and then my last guy's another guy that didn't play, and that's Kyle Pitts, man. Now
Mm-mm.
scoring 2 points a game, and now he's not playing. Unacceptable, dude. Come on, man. I'm pretty mad.
So if you're looking at dynasty tight ends, has Kyle Pitts fallen, or is he holding at the 3? He's probably about 3 because you got what? Andrews, Kelsey's probably still 2, and then or Pitts might be 2, or Pitts is 1 in some areas. Where would you put Pitts in dynasty tight end?
I mean, it's hard right now because he hasn't done anything. I mean, at some point, in order for me to put you there, yeah, we put him there before he did anything because just the hype we thought was real. But like, I don't know if we can put him like above Kelsey or Andrews at this point.
So what you're saying is buy now if you're in a dynasty tight end super flex premium
Yeah.
whatever, because next year he's not going to have Mariota. It could be one of these. It could be Stroud. It could be name a quarterback. It could be one of those guys.
Yeah, but it's gonna be tough to buy him because I mean, whoever's got him is not going to want to give up on him. Right now, they gave up a lot for him, so I don't see him. I don't see you catching a deal on Kyle Pitts just yet.
CD Lamb for Kyle Pitts.
Straight up. I like I said, I feel the same way about CeeDee Lamb. I just don't want to give up on the guy, man. But yeah, so that's my all mad team. I might do that from time to time, just from guys that frustrate me because it's fantasy. You get frustrated every week by a whole bunch of guys.
I told you I was so
Right.
mad this week. I just couldn't. I couldn't do anything the rest of the day. I took a break between the first 2 games and I went shop. I had to get groceries. I was like, I just can't. I stepped away. I was like, no, I was broken.
That's how my last couple of weeks have been. I actually won more than 2 leagues this week, so I mean, I was kind of excited. So the first thing I want to talk about, a little conversation piece, was like the return of the high end RBs, right, from like 2020. Austin Eckler, Christian McCaffrey. Let me get my list up here.
Cook.
Dalvin Cook, Leonard Fournette, Derrick Henry, Nick Chubb, Tevin Coleman even showed up from somewhere. I'm not even sure where that came from.
I'll talk about him later.
Alvin Kamara, Saquon Barkley. You had all those guys. I mean, it was 2020. Then you had a couple of the young guys, Pierce and Brees Hall, also popping off for something, big. So are we back to being safe with these guys, these running backs that we drafted this high? No.
I say no, and it's going to hit 2 things. One, we've been saying all season, 1 week does not a season make, but it's nice to see. If it continues, cool. But what we're going to hit next, and I know if it's something we'll hit a lot of, is these guys are running backs. They get hit 20 times a game. With this new concussion protocol, If they wibble wobble a smidge, they're out for a game. Like they're done. So that's going to slow down some of this progress we're making as running backs. Teddy Bridgewater barely got hit. He was out of game. But as far as, with the exception of that, I hate to say the answer is I don't know. I mean, I have Dameon Pierce as a solid season guy. Some of those guys, they came out of nowhere. So Saquon's having that season. McCaffrey's been a shell of himself, but he's like the Zeke of this year. Like the guy you're like, how is he doing good when he looks so terrible? And with Matt Rule out, maybe something smart will happen. And Baker Mayfield out, PJ Walker, your boy PJ Walker could be changing the game from but the guys that have been consistently there. Henry's had a decent year too, much to your chagrin. But those other guys, there's not been the consistency yet. So I need a couple more weeks to see what happens with Kamara, what happens with, I mean, touchdown Lenny. He's probably better than him, and Eckler's not been terrible. So it's the elite. It's still a receiver world.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like the game changes so much from week to week. 1 week you're good and 1 week you're bad. It's just crazy the way it's setting up. Speaking of 1 week you're good and 1 week you're bad, we just went from tight ends, where there's, a bunch of big names at the top, they're just all over the place, to tight ends where all these guys, pardon my friend, but suck. So this is what we're dealing with, right? Taysom Hill, cool. Then we got Mark Andrews, every week. Hayden Hurst, he's actually playing pretty well. He's getting some touchdowns. We got Dallas Goedert. He finally had a decent game. And then we got Njoku. We got Adam Troutman. My boy finally showed up. Evan Ingram, Daniel Bellinger, Tyler Higbee, Hunter Henry, Durham Smythe, Cade Otton, Zach Gentry, Mercedes Lewis. I didn't even know he still played in the NFL. And of course, I think we still got the Chiefs to play, right? And Chiefs and Raiders
Chiefs
tonight.
And Raiders as of this
so we got Waller, and who knows what we're going to get from Waller? He might end up being barely a top 24. But this is why you just can't invest heavily in tight ends, man. This is nonsense.
I mean, but that was said from the beginning, though, was you have either Andrews, Kelsey, and supposedly Pitts, or you just see what sticks to the wall. I mean, I was listening to some stuff on the way in. Your boy Freiermuth might be out for a little while because he's got his third concussion in a year and a half. That's
he may never play again.
Yeah, and so you may be running out of those guys that were going to be your top three. What was it? Freiermuth, Pitts, and Goddard. Goddard was good, but you might have top one.
Well, in my defense, I was not. I don't know. I didn't know about the concussion things that
I forgot about it.
Had going on, so I didn't. That's no excuse, but
yeah,
none
of us really thought about it till Tua. So let's be honest. As a
whole, but just like these tight ends, man, you got to have like 4 of them on your bench. Just because, but then again, you're going to start somebody, and then Cade Otton. Has Cade Otton even caught a pass all year?
I am not 100% sure, but it is totally. It's you. I would rather have one bad tight end. This is my tight end. My tight end terribleness on one of my teams. I needed a tight end. I have Disley. I have. Let's get down here. Hunter Henry, Noah Fant, Cole Kmet, Brevin Jordan, and Jelani Woods. And it's a guarantee, whichever guy I don't play. I mean, Hunter Henry was on my bench with 11 points. Noah Fant with 9 on my bench. Cole Kmet on my bench with 10. And I started Will Disley, who's going to score 27 next week. So you're better to have 1 that you hate than 4 that you puke every time you don't start them.
It's a puke every time I got to put a tight end in the spot.
Hey, careful. We're getting close to National Tight End Day. You need to get ready. I'll have my T-shirt ready. I'll be wearing it for a week.
Yeah. So enough talk about tight ends. That's about as all as we can get in. So this next thing, I just want to go over some teams, kind of do like a threat level. We got a low threat as far as like overall fantasy value for the team. Of course, just your 4 main spots. So you got your low threat and your medium and high threats. Give you some easy examples to start off with. It's like a high threat. We're talking somebody, like the Buffalo Bills. Their offense is, pretty legit. So then you get somebody like let's say the Steelers. I feel like right now they're kind of a low threat offense, right? Hopefully they pick up a little bit, even though our boy George Pickens did look good.
Balling
Pickett threw for a lot of yards. I don't know, didn't turn out to be much, but I mean it's a start.
It's a
So
bad
the
start.
first one I want to give you is the Seattle offense. The receivers look good. Our boy Kenny Walker is finally getting a starting job because Rashad Penny, of course, gets hurt, and then top 5 tight end Geno Smith. What's your threat level with the Seattle offense here?
Well, first, I want to tell you, I know you hate tight ends and you're excited for someone to score points, but Geno Smith's going to be their quarterback all year as much as you want him to be a tight end. So I had to call you there. Just you're still in tight
Did I
end.
say that?
You said,
Oh, my bad.
at first, I want to start by apologizing to Rashad Penny. I hadn't started him all year. I start Rashad Penny over Nick Chubb by pushing the wrong button, and he's out for the season. So Rashad Penny, sorry, dude. I hope you sign a great contract next year. You get a good backup gig, and that person breaks their leg, and you get to go in for them. But Seattle's offense is the team you don't want to play, but you know you have to. I have Geno Smith in our auction league, and I've got to play him next week because our boy Jared Goff, who we'll probably talk about in a bit, is on the bye. But right now, it's one of those things. It's what's hot right now. That's how fantasy goes. Right now, Geno Smith's hot. I would start Geno Smith. DK he's proven it to me, and if you prove it to someone who hates DK, boom, you're good. Tyler Lockett, I still hesitant because he's that roller coaster. He better be your flex, or else you're going to get 3 points. So just like our boy Gabe, I guess, and Kenny Walker, he might be one of my top 12 running backs this week, if not top 10. Where he'll be right there with Pierce. They're probably back to back, probably Pierce and Walker, and then probably Brees. Those three might be 7, 8, 9, 8, 9, 10 because they are 3 down. Yeah, they're getting except for the touchdowns from Carter. Ugh.
That long run from Kenny Walker really boosted his value up because that's all people are going to think about. So he's going to might be put up a little too high. So just be careful with it. But
opportunity.
it's opportunity.
Absolutely.
I mean, I like Kenny Walker. Absolutely. I mean, if Damian Pierce is out there doing it, I think Kenny Walker can do it. So speaking of Jared Goff, what's the threat level on the Detroit Lions offense?
Middle. I'm not worried about it yet. Well, and they got the bye week coming up. They played the Patriots, and the Patriots do have a good defense. Everything else except for the defense in Ramondre is trash, but it'll give Jacoby Myers touchdown, whatever. But everything else is trash, and their defense is really good. And Bill Belichick, if nothing else, no matter what you think of him, the dude knows how to game script, and basically he game scripted them out. They don't have. I mean, Amon-Ra was playing on half a leg. Swift wasn't playing. Hawkinson. Someone today asked me Hawkinson or Njoku for a season. I still got to take Hawk because of a bigger passing volume, I think. Jameson might. Once they get Jameson could be back, right? I haven't heard anything about him. Could be back for the next play. So they're hurt right now, and you can't get them all the way down there to Pittsburgh Steelers kind of range with that, like scare tactic because they one bad week they've killed it the rest of the weeks as far as fantasy. Like as a real team, I think they're getting better than the Lions we've seen in the past, and I think that's a test of the coach. So they got to just draft a lot of defense next year because it's terrible.
All right, so you mentioned the Patriots. So I just want to mention 2 guys. Of course, we know Ramondre Stevenson is going to be the guy. I mean, if he's going to get all the carries, I mean,
Harris hurt.
I'd be just as happy. I mean, I would be just excited if it was the other way and Damian Harris was getting, all the carries because Ramondre got hurt. So it's either or because, I mean, they both produce. So we're confident in that if Harris is out. So they're going to use a backup, obviously. They got J.J. Taylor and Pierre Strong. So I don't see them. I think Ramondre might get everything. But the other guy that I want to talk is Jacoby Myers actually a guy? Like, he could be really good, right?
He was decent towards the end of last year, and he came into the year with high hopes, and he just sort of has been a guy. And it's hard to be the guy in an offense that basically says they're going to just run on first, second, third, fourth, and fifth downs. And so is he a guy that you want as a flex? Yeah. Is he a guy wide receiver 3? Possibly. Matchup based, as long as if a team has like a stellar number 1 corner, like the Lions have no defense. So he's a guy versus the Lions, you and me defensive cornerbacks. But what would he look like if he had to go against Slay in Philly? What would he look like against Howard in Miami? Those guys there would slow him down, I think.
I mean, I'm leaning close to a wide receiver 3 for him at this point. I mean, he produces. He produces when he's in there. So I mean, like he's scoring touchdowns now. He's always been good, but he just never scored touchdowns. Now he's getting those touchdowns. So we'll let you. I'm gonna go with this Miami offense. What is the threat level on the Miami offense?
Currently, I would put it. So high threat means they're good. Low threat means they're bad, right?
Yeah.
So
yep.
I'd put it a lower threat than the Lions, as long as there's no Tua. Tua was heart and soul of the offense. It's been an interesting turnaround to the way that they're playing like we thought they would initially, other than terrible. I mean, the defense pooped to the bed on Sunday. But Mostert is the lone bright spot on this team. Mostert, 3 down back. Like, if you got Chase Edmonds, too late. You couldn't sell him by now. He's gone. He's done. They're going to play Mostert until he gets, Rashad Pennied, which we know is coming. So just play him while you got him. But he's their bell cow. He had a great week. He's going to get the ball. Mike Gesicki could be traded because he's not in this offense. Tyreek was wearing a boot, but Tyreek's getting 3-yard passes, 4-yard passes this week. He was getting volume, but not yardage. Apparently, the backup quarterbacks only know highlight reels of Tyreek Hill because they forgot that Jalen Waddle is an amazing talent. And currently, I think they just got hit in the head, pun totally intended. And I think Tua, if you were to tell me to right now make a bet, Tua's out of mine. So that's 3 more weeks. Luckily, it's the Steelers who are bottom threat level, and 2 other out the Giants. I don't know who else is in there, but so I'd say somewhere between the Steelers and the Lions is where I would place them, with the schedule not being as complicated. And I did say the Jets had a decent defense, so their offense was not great, but that was bad.
Who's a better fantasy option, Skylar Thompson or Bailey Zappi?
This week I decided not to trade for a quarterback, and I started Ramondre at Superflex quarterback. Is that an option? Like that's where it was. I could have traded for Teddy Bridgewater for a second with your brother-in-law, and I was like, I just can't do it. It feels dirty. I had something possible. I almost gave in, and then he didn't push accept. Thank goodness. And I'm like, boom, I have Skylar Thompson. So I have but I think whichever one you have on your roster, if you need a QB2 in Superflex, might be there.
If you got to start either one of those, I'm sorry for you.
Dude, I started Daniel Jones and Cooper Rush this week as a two
better than Skylar Thompson and Bailey Zappi.
Could you imagine start both those guys? Oh.
So the next team is the Los Angeles Chargers. What's your threat level with the Chargers? Are you worried about Herbert?
Probably.
Is it still the Ribs? Still the Ribs?
It is. It's early season. So this is week 6. I put them. They're on the other side of the Lions, between the Lions and the Bills. So they have the superpower. Eckler's still playing great. Eckler's keeping them above water. Gerald Everett has pooped to the bed recently. He was their stalwart for the early part of the season. Apparently, Joshua Palmer's who I thought he was coming out of the draft. Because if you remember, I remember last year, I didn't like him. Dude he didn't play in college. So why is this guy going to be an NFL stud as a receiver? And he didn't step up. Keenan's hurt. So if Keenan gets back, he might be their Tua. The guy that is the heart and soul of that offense. And I think get him back in will affect everybody else going around. And I'm not too worried because they are winning.
All right, sticking in LA, the Rams. What's the red level on the Rams? Last team.
That team, I don't know. Is that a possible? Like what? They might be right with the Lions because they look, except for Cooper Kupp, everybody else on that team looks terrible. Like Cooper Kupp is an alpha dog. But everybody else, like there was a comment made on one of my football threads by my brother, like it looks like it was something effective. Like Cam Akers looks like he's running scared. Like he doesn't know what to do. Like he forgot how to play football because he just sort of doesn't know where to go, doesn't know what to do. They say
the offensive line is really, really bad. So,
well, would that explain why they can't get the ball to Allen Robinson or Taylor Higbee, who was a stud all of a sudden and he disappeared? With
your offense, it's kind of like going downhill, right? The offensive line is obviously bad. Stafford is obviously bad. I mean, Akers is bad. I mean, the only person that's any good is Cooper Kupp. So whenever you drop back, you're the only one he's throwing to. And at some point in the game, you're going to be open if you just pepper them with targets. Right?
But yeah, it's one of those it's like McVay is this genius mind. If he knows the line is bad, he's got to go to 2-step drops instead of 3-step drops. He's got to speed up. He's got to get the ball out faster. I mean, that's what like Tua wasn't great last year, but that's my only basis is. But he had a quick release last year. Like so Waddle had a gajillion catches because the line was terrible. He had to get back and get out. If they do that in Los Angeles, if they start to do that in Chicago. I mean, Chicago's not great on the line either. And if Fields, instead of running around like a chicken with his head cut off, takes it and just pops it quick, gets some quick releases, I think they'll both have more success. But that's common sense, and they want to be smarter than everybody else. That's all I got.
I mean, they're smarter than me, so we just sit here and rag on them anyway. But yeah, that's all I got.
And now a message from our favorite sponsor.
Underdog Fantasy is the best and easiest place to play fantasy sports. Now that we are in season, they offer even more fantasy sports options. You can choose to play 4 to 6 round draft contests with up to 10 people. You can even create your own private draft room.
And that's not all. Underdog also offers pick'em fantasy contests where you decide if players will go higher or lower than a listed stat line, from touchdowns to yards to interceptions and many more. It's a fun way to show your fantasy prowess. Sign up now with the code Couriers, and they'll double your first deposit up to $100 in bonus cash.
And just in case you missed that, when you make your first deposit of $10 or more, deposit $100, get $100 free.
And with their slick mobile app and user-friendly website, you'll have no problem jumping in and drafting your squad or making your best picks.
So join Underdog today, and don't forget to use the code Couriers. A link is in the notes of the podcast.
Now back to the podcast.
Surefire waste of a touchdown.
Oh, yeah. So my favorite segment on the podcast, surefire waste of a touchdown. As we get in, man, surefire waste of a team probably is the Carolina Panthers this year. Oof, that team is garbage. I'm curious to see what happens with the new.
At least McCaffrey is, scoring points enough to hold, to keep him relevant.
Remember how good DJ Moore was? Everybody's like, DJ Moore, where'd he go? He was supposed to survive Baker.
Nobody can survive.
That's a terrible, terrible. Anyway, I diverge. So we're going to start off in London. My least favorite game. I didn't get to see any of it. Sunday morning was the game that I saw zippy-doo of. I was watching it online, and if I had been smart, I was looking at DraftKings in the fourth quarter. The Giants were down by 7. And it was a plus 900. I had a free $10 bet. I would have won I forget what it was. I don't even know the math of gambling. I would have won a boat ton of money. And I didn't put my buddy down. He's like, yeah, that's interesting. I was like, I should have pushed. I had it in my cart, and then I deleted it because I didn't want to lose. And I would have won a bunch of money. But anyway, let's go to London. There's a 2-yard touchdown run. Oh, thank goodness Saquon is scoring. Wait, no. Oh, crud. And when I heard somebody else scoring, it wasn't Saquon. I couldn't think of his name. I knew him because we all knew him from being a rookie last year. Gary Brightwell with a 2-yard run. For sure. Most definitely is a
surefire waste of a touchdown. I had this guy on my team for a couple months one time.
I think he jumped around. Everybody's like, oh, cool. Saquon's going to get hurt. Let's play Brightwell. And then Saquon got hurt, and they didn't play Brightwell, which was really weird. So, we were talking about the Chargers earlier and how Eckler he's a touchdown guy. So, in the second quarter with a 5-yard touchdown run, Austin Eckler's got, oh, crud. In the beginning of the season, you thought Isaiah Spiller, oh, wait, he's not even active. Joshua Kelly in the second quarter, maybe in the fourth quarter of a blow, but Joshua Kelly with a 5-yard touchdown run, that is definitely a
surefire waste of a touchdown. I thought Eckler got hurt there for a second. Kelly was playing a lot.
Oh, I was like, goodness. Let's go. Let's talk about the Vikings. The Vikings are looking like they could be pretty decent this year. Jefferson's killing it. Dalvin Cook, if he plays like that the rest of the year, I still can't get used to the single-digit running backs on that team. That's just weird to me. And Cousins just has to be good enough. He's our Mendoza line. So, Cousins throws a 1-yard passing touchdown. It's got to be to Justin Jeff. No. Oh, dude. Adam Thielen. I started him this week. No. Oh, KJ Osborne is a cent. No, of course. We all thought Jalen Reagor with a 1-yard touchdown reception. That is most definitely a
Surefire waste of a touchdown, but good for him. Like to see him succeed.
And everybody in Philly puked a little bit. Now, I was talking about Justin Fields a little bit ago, talking about how he needed to, throw something. And so he threw a 9-yard pass to everybody's favorite Mooney? No, that's not Mooney. Oh, it's got to be Komet. He's got to have no. Oh, Montgomery came back. Nope. Oh, it's my boy from pre-draft area, 25-year-old rookie, Velus Jones Jr. with 1 catch for 9 yards for a touchdown. But that's still definitely a
Surefire waste of a touchdown. At least Justin Fields looked decent yesterday.
He did. He had a fairly good day. I mean, Velus Jones until then, he had a muffed punt. That was pretty much his career. This is just I just had to throw it in here. We talked about it, but this is just a surefire waste of a touchdowns. So we got an 8-yard Kamara run, nope. 9-yard Kamara run, nope. Maybe Andy Dalton threw a 22-yard pass, nope. Another 60-yard Kamara, no. Oh my goodness. Taysom Hill has 3 rushing touchdowns, 1 passing touchdown. Oh yeah, and he beat my team that had, let's see, who was that? Josh Allen and Justin Jefferson. I don't like him anymore. But all of those touchdowns, the only reason you started him is because somebody on your team is dead, and the guy on my other side had a dead guys. But those are definitely 400%.
Surefire waste of a touchdown. How is this guy a tight end? I don't understand.
He's a tight end because they couldn't think of what to call gadget guy. So gadget becomes tight end because sometimes they call it H-back, sometimes they're called tight ends, and they're basically receivers that can block, that can run. So they're like, yeah, that's what we're going to make him. But and he was on my roster earlier, like to play him, you had to be a totally doomed on your team, but Anyway, let's go to the game with the biggest screw job call at the end of the game. That would be the Falcons versus the Buccaneers. We didn't even mention that. That was the worst. I'm watching that tackle. I don't think Tom Brady could even say that was roughing the passer. But
hey, Tom Brady doesn't throw the flags, man.
Yeah, those guys apparently don't know why to throw flags. But anyway, let's get into the game where I got some Falcons touchdowns here. 8-yard touchdown run. We have the rookie Tyler. No. Oh, Caleb Huntley, the other dial. No, the guy who people heard of a few weeks ago. Avery Williams with an 8-yard run. That is definitely
surefire waste of a touchdown. I don't even know who that guy is.
I looked in there. Can you hear the baby in the background?
I can't hear the baby in the background.
There's a baby crying over there.
Oh, get the baby a bottle or something.
Nobody puts baby in the corner. Anyway,
baby in the corner. Put that baby in the corner.
Put that baby kiss the baby, as Ocho Cinco said. 19-yard touchdown pass from Marcus Mariota. Oh, Drake. Oh, crud. It's UVA boy Olamide Zaccheaus. I like that guy, but it still is a
surefire waste of a touchdown. I have to say, I think Zaccheaus is the most used name on surefire waste of a touchdown. I bet he holds the record for most surefire waste of a touchdown appearances.
Because who is going to start him? Like he still qualifies.
I'm just saying.
13-yard halfback pass from Ryan Tannehill and the Titans versus the Commanders. Oh, Henry's catching the ball. Not again. This is like week 1 all over again. Dontrell Hilliard. That's a
surefire waste of a touchdown. Nobody gets carries except for Darian.
And I'm going to close out with 2 twofers. We're going to stay in the Titans versus the Commanders. 75-yard pass and a 30-yard pass from Carson Wentz, who he played for me. I'll tell you a funny story after these about Carson Wentz. But to Terry Curtis Samuel. No. Oh, everybody's boy from last year, Diami. There was an inkling. I was like going to mention Diami Brown on my Sunday morning chat, but I was like, nah, that sounds stupid. But guess what? I would have looked smart. But Diami Brown with 2 touchdowns and he had 2 catches too, by the way. That would be a
surefire waste of a touchdown. I'm gonna start him next week. Screw.
For 2 catches and 5 yards and touchdown. And let's go to San Francisco, where we have another 2 for a 9-yard pass from Jimmy Garoppolo and a 5-yard run. Definitely gonna rock some Jeff Wilson. Who could you imagine Jeff Wilson if he'd had these touchdowns? Holy moly! Oh, not Jeff Wilson. It's got to be Debo. No. Oh my gosh, he's still in the league. Tevin Coleman. Oh my goodness, Tevin Coleman. Can you just leave football? That was my thought of driving here. Tevin Coleman, leave football because you are definitely giving us two, not just 1, 2
Surefire waste of a touchdown. Kyle Shanahan loves that guy, man.
He takes him everywhere he goes. I mean,
Loves that
but
guy.
my story before your weekly wisdom is I was volunteering with my kids on Friday and talking to his dad, and his daughter was going out to babysit, and he's like, "Hey, she's going to go babysit for Carson Wentz tonight. Anything you want her to tell him?" I said, "Yeah, tell her to tell Carson. I don't need last week. I need what he did the first 2 weeks because I've got to start him because Tua got knocked out. So just do whatever you can. You don't have to be perfect, but just don't throw a lot of interceptions and get me some points." He did not look spectacular, but in that league, he still got me 26 points. So
Are you taking credit?
I am. I'm gonna give her credit.
Don't be that
I'll
guy.
I'll
Don't
see
be
her
that.
and I'll give her credit. I'll be like, hey, thanks for
So,
hooking up, Carson.
this is why NFL players hate fantasy guys because we those guys. Hey man, don't suck for me at fantasy this week, all right?
Hey,
I'm not sure they're going out here sucking on purpose.
he tried his best on that last possession.
He does try his best sometimes.
But
I
you know
do
what's
agree.
a note that we didn't mention is apparently the NFL forgot they can run. I
And
saw somebody lamenting when the Bengals and the Commanders were on the 1 yard line. Neither of them tried to run. I mean, the Bengals have one of the top 5 best running backs in the league, like as far as a running back.
I mean,
No run.
evidently the Bengals were in a shotgun like 85% of the time.
Hmm.
Evidently, something crazy. So I didn't
Apparently,
watch.
an end around pass was better than seeing Joe Mixon for 1 yard, even to try once, because the Dolphins hit him 3 times, but they're a better defense on the front four than the Ravens. The Ravens are good front four, but not as good. The Dolphins front four is bad, but not even trying.
But that's the way the NFL's been projecting. It's going to get to a point. I mean, I feel like it's pretty close to you can't really throw any more than you're already throwing.
Yeah.
But even if you do, there's a lot of teams that were their quarterbacks only threw like 20 passes. So I mean, if you really look into it, I mean, I really noticed it yesterday. There were a lot of teams, that 13 for 21 or something crazy like that. So I mean, it kind of evens out. But yeah, so it is week 5. It's it might be time to start making moves if you're desperate. I mean, if you're 1-4, 0-5, I mean, you got to do something right now. There's only so many weeks left. We do got an extra week here and there on the end of the season, but
Bye week start this week. Oh, I'm getting crushed.
So I mean, you look for those. Trade some of those guys that you can help somebody else that's on a bye week because they're in a tough position. But like this is when you need to start making a move if you want to be serious, because you don't want to be that guy that doesn't make a move and then towards the end of the season he doesn't care about the league and he's not filling out his roster. So definitely don't be that guy. But yeah, you need to start making moves now. So as always, trust yourself and trust the process.